Hello, YouTube. It's me, Justin. It's September 23rd, approximately 1:46 p.m. Central Time here in Wisconsin. Just going to do a quick live stream. Was going to do a video, but as many of you all know, the outcome of the Breonna Taylor case with one police officer charged 3 times with pretty much reckless endangerment of shooting into a a house, um, which a lot of people don't know the true facts when it comes to what happened. And no, I hate to see anybody lose their lives, but Breonna Taylor, they said that she worked as an EMT. I believe 6 months before the shooting, she was fired. The boyfriend she was with was heavily dealing in narcotics. And Breonna Taylor herself was seen going back and forth to a stash house. Stash house is where they keep the drugs, guns, etc. When the officers did a no-knock warrant, there was a eyewitness that said they did knock and they did announce that they were police officers before they did enter the um, the house of Breonna Taylor. Now, a lot of people think Breonna Taylor was actually in her bed when she was shot. That is far from the truth. Breonna Taylor and her that time boyfriend were in the hallway as he shot first through the door where the officers were. One officer was shot in the leg. They breached the door and started to fire. Now, from what I've read and seen on different outlets, that Breonna Taylor's then boyfriend, who has been charged with attempted murder on a police officer, um, used Breonna Taylor as a human shield, stood behind her as they unloaded one officer unloaded 10 rounds from his magazine. Um, but if you've seen what happened with the grand jury, Louisville, Kentucky residents are very unhappy with what the verdict was, meaning other officers weren't charged, but the officer that first shot the 10 rounds blindly is facing up to 1 to 5 years in prison. They wanted all the officers to spend the rest of their lives in prison, which makes no sense. I mean, if you're an officer and you're sitting, or you're on one side of the building, or you're behind well, when I say building, household, and you're behind the house, or on the side, you've never fired a weapon, or people standing behind never once fired a weapon in law enforcement. It just goes to show you the delusional thinking from the far left and BLM. There are some true protesters, not patriots, pardon me on that one, that want justice for Breonna. It's a horrible, horrible thing when she does lose her life. And I see the chat coming up, but it's fading in and out. So I just figured I would do a live stream from the porch here with the woods in the back, but a quick live stream. Now, they set the bail at $15,000 for the officer that was charged with three charges, the same one, basically reckless endangerment of shooting into a house, and one of his rounds lodged into or went through another apartment, I'm sure. So, but the reason why I wanted to come on here is I wanted to let everybody know, if you have family members around, if you live in a big city, do you think the riots of George Floyd was bad? That was a practice run. As far as I'm concerned, they're already starting their marches. They set one trash can on fire. I was watching Blazing Press News, but they continue to walk, but you can see the smoke coming out. Now, the NF, not effing around crew said if they didn't get the right justice, they were going to go burn this place down. they haven't been anywhere, or they haven't been seen anywhere there yet. But through Facebook, through Twitter, etc., there are a lot of threats, and they are saying burn this MFer down, burn down the cities. So I think what we saw with George Floyd is actually going to be, I hope not, but it's going to be 10 times worse. And Louisville, Kentucky had already called in the National Guard. And if you can go to Blazing Press News, he's running a live stream with the march. And actually, I was watching, and these two African Americans walked up to a truck that was parked on the side of the road and reached in. One grabbed something, I'm not sure what he grabbed. The other grabbed a fire extinguisher. Um, as soon as they announced the verdict, basically from the grand jury, a black male pulled out a gun. He was approached by a bunch of other black males, and he was subdued, not thrown on the ground, but they basically talked him down and made him put his gun back in into his waistband. I don't care if you're living in Charlotte, North Carolina, or Charlotte, South, yeah, North Carolina, Charleston, wherever. These big cities, Atlanta, Asheville. If you're in California, like Brother Michael Gale, they are giving weapons to people from trucks. I wouldn't doubt it. People, please be prepared. It's time to, if you're locked and loaded, go ahead and fill your magazines, fill your 12 gauges up, anything and everything. And if you don't, if you have weapons, firearms, and you don't have any ammo, please get your rear end down to a sports shop, a gun shop somewhere, and get some, because I strongly believe that this is going to be by far one of the worst. We thought George Floyd was bad. I think this is going to be extremely dangerous. And if you have to go out, be careful. Once again, stay locked and loaded. If you don't have to go out, please stay home. And if you have to go out, I urge you to go out. If you're not at work or something and you're stuck at home, get your rear end to the grocery store and start buying stuff. This isn't fear porn. You've seen how many people have been shot and killed, murdered, stomped, got their heads stomped in just from George Floyd. I think the total was up to 33, I think last week, of how many people have been murdered because of the protests, the riots. It's just, you watch what happens tonight. I guarantee you, Louisville, Kentucky will be set ablaze, and it's just going to be like, I'm not even going to say the word COVID, and no, like smallpox or something that's real. And I got my pandemic shirt on, but it's going to go to every single. Let me read some of your alls. It's going everywhere. My son can finally breathe today. Sister Lisa Webby, I'm sorry, I didn't know he was sick. A wake up's in the house. It's going to get ugly. It's going to get extremely ugly. Sister Sharon, they have been given bump stocks to turn into automatic weapons, going to use them to assassinate Trump supporters, RPGs, and I strongly believe it. I strongly, strongly believe it. And that's why I say stay in your house, and they're going to urban places, um, neighborhoods, etc. And people are like, well, I'm afraid to defend my home, because you saw what happened to that bar owner, if you haven't, who was being beaten up by a total of three African Americans. He had his handgun and he fired off two rounds off to the side, and I believe it was the mayor or city commissioner or somebody said they weren't going to press charges because what he did was legal. He was protecting himself because he was getting, pardon me, the shit beat out of him. And it was during a riot, during a protest. They tried to come into his bar. And when he was being choked out, he did shoot the perpetrator, um, the perp, whatever you want to call him. And he was told that they weren't going to press charges. He had every right to use that gun because if the guy was bashing his face into the concrete, and if he did not use that gun, he probably more than likely would have been knocked out, and they would have taken the gun and shot him. So what happened? A grand jury came through and indicted him with like charges that would have gave him 90 years in prison. So what did he do? This man turned around and took his life, killed himself. And he was legally by the Constitution. He was in the right. He was allowed to protect his life. He was being jumped, and it's just that's why we're gonna watch the uptick of police officers around the United States that are going to be walking off the job because it's simply not worth it. You know, you sign up, you go through the academy to be a police officer, to help people, and your life's in danger. And then guess what? You shoot somebody that's trying to harm you or kill you, you're facing life in prison. You're facing exactly what many other officers are. Do I blame them for quitting? Absolutely not. I would rather spend time with my family and stuff instead of worrying about dealing with all these dirtbag criminals that hate officers, you know, that F-12 and all this stuff. But anyways, getting back to what I was going to say, I got to head out here in a second. Everybody, I will go back and read the comments. It's just hard doing it on the phone because it pops up real quick. And you all know I read and spell like a drunk 3-year-old. So by the time I try to read a half a comment, it disappears. But Breonna Taylor, very, very sad. But if you dig deep into research, she wasn't a perfect angel. But I feel no one, you know, deserves to die except pedophiles and murderers. But she knew she had her hand in the dope game. And if her boyfriend would not have shot through the door and shot a police officer, she would be alive till this day. And once again, they were in the hallway and he stood behind her, using her as a human shield as he returned fire. So I don't understand why BLM and other activists aren't wanting him to be charged with murder because he was a felon. He was in the act of a felony, shooting a police officer. It's just like when you, it's just like if you and your friend go to a bank and rob a bank, and your friend is shot by somebody that's carrying a concealed weapon, or your friend shot and killed by a police officer. You were right alongside of them in the act of a felony. You get charged with his murder. How come Breonna Taylor's boyfriend hasn't been charged with her murder? He blatantly grabbed her, put her in front as the officers shot. That's a human shield. And he had already previously shot through the door and hit an officer. So right there was a felony, plus the fact he wasn't allowed to even possess a handgun. So I think he needs to be charged instead of attempted murder on a law enforcement officer. He should be charged with attempted murder on a law enforcement officer and charged with first degree murder or second degree murder when it comes to his girlfriend, Breonna Taylor. But here nor there, it's probably never going to happen. But please keep your head on a swivel. Stay safe. Stay locked and loaded. If you're not, get your rear end of the store. Like I said before, buy you a 22 Plankster rifle from Walmart. And if you're state doesn't, Walmart doesn't carry firearms, go to a gun store. You can get them for anywhere from $95 to $105. Anything is better than nothing. And it's really, really bad. I guarantee you it's going to get really, really nasty. So, much love to everybody. Hey, my sister's in the house with her little birds. Love you, sis. Thank you for jumping in. Got Sister Wake Up in the house. JC16. Killer Instinct, what's shaking bacon? Good to see you. Fist bump. U.S. Army Brat in the house. Sister Shannon's in the house. Sister Lisa Webby. Gotta go. Okay. Brother Michael Gale, great to see you. Love you, brother. Scroll down. Sister Chrissy's in the house, or was in the house. I know a lot of you are already gone. I don't blame you. The Iceman. Head on a swivel tonight. Stay safe. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sister Tanya, my sister, my blood sister. Love you, baby, bro. Love you too, sis. Very much. Very much. If I haven't read your name, I can't scroll down too far. Melody Dawn was in the house. Brother Josh H. was in the house. Brother Josh, if you do hear this. Angel Lawrence is in the house. What's shaking bacon? This is all part of a bigger agenda. You got that right, Wake Up. It's exactly what it is. All this is part of a bigger agenda. Cause chaos, cause civil unrest, cause divide, division, etc., violence, murders, right before the election year. Are they going to bring in the UN, the blue helmets? You never know. We're living in very prophetic times, people. Fear no man, never fear death, get right with God, fight the good fight, and always stay locked and loaded. God bless. Love you, sis. Later. Oh, wait, hold on before I go out. Brother Mark Rouse, fist bump. Another fist bump. Real quick, how's your wife Amy doing? They want people divided and fighting. Part of the plan, absolutely. Divide and conquer. Nazi Germany all over again, but guess what? It's hitting the shores of the U.S. All right, your wife's doing great. That's a positive note to not leave, but get off this live stream on the phone. Once again, fear no man, never fear death, get right with God, fight the good fight, and always stay locked and loaded. Please, if you have guns, if you've got a shotgun, but you don't have anything in it, you just might as well have a baseball bat. Or if you've got a 357 and somebody comes into your door, say, I've got a 357 Magnum and it really hurts when I throw it at you. No. Fill that sucker up with lead and gunpowder. All right. Much love. God bless. Later.